Didn't do it.
I did.
It's not surprising.
Welcome to. Excuse me. Hang on. Forgot where I was. I need a guitar. Like, look at the back of the guitar. You know, oh, this is.
We can get you one. He's got a whole bunch back there.
Just a couple.
Like 6 or 7. I think. There's one over there too.
Oh. Welcome to Scuttlebutt Podcast. I'm Rich Mellon, and today I have some very special guests. I have Lyle and Carrie Scobble, and you are the owners of Sisson Furs here in Red Deer. You guys just celebrated a very special anniversary.
Well, it's coming up. It's in November, actually, but it's 70 years.
70 years.
Yeah.
70 years of being in business as a furrier.
Well, not us, obviously. But, my dad has been a furrier.
Not you, but he could have.
Yeah. There you go. My dad's been a furrier for almost 60 years.
Yes.
So I've been around it my whole life. The Sissons originally started this business in 1948. My dad bought it in 1996. And we've been paying for it for about the last 15 years. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, has it always been here in Red Deer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It started off in the back of a little lady's dress shop on Little Gates in 1948. And then I think 2 years later it moved to this location.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And so it's been here for 68 years in this store.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. City Hall used to store all their records in our vault back in the day.
No kidding.
Yeah. At the end of every day, they'd bring all their records here and put them in the vault and lock it up for the night and come and pick them up in the morning.
That's fascinating. Well, one of the things that we like to do when we on the podcast is to give us a little bit of background about the people. So tell us about yourselves. I mean, obviously you're in fur. Are you in the life? Do you trap? Do you hunt? Do you fish?
I hunt and I fish. I don't trap. I do all the fur finishing, so I work with fur all day long. I don't have time to trap. Yeah. I'd love to.
Yeah, no, I'm not trapping. Never really been into it, but always definitely supported it. As we know, the country was founded on the fur trade and trapping, and so I've always just liked fur.
Right.
I used to have beaver pelts when rabbit pelts when I was a kid, and I'd put all my trophies on them and stuff. And that just kind of grew when I met my wife, and I found this family, and they kind of converted me into a furrier. Yeah.
So, but you do hunt. I mean, I've met your lab.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a very eager hunter. You have to hunt with him.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that mostly what it is then, birds? Or
with the dog, yeah, I do ducks, geese, pheasants with him, partridge. And then I'll do big game myself, too.
Okay.
Have to leave the dog at home. That hurts. That's the biggest downfall of big game is you have to leave the dog at home. That hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's an argument we've been having here in Alberta for years. But how's the season been going this year for you?
Good. I've been putting some.
We've got some geese and ducks and pheasants in the freezer for sure.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
I know the migratories just hit.
Yeah.
They just hit Grand Prairie. We're in Red Deer, so I live about 6 hours north of here, and the migratories are just the weather just got bad enough to push them that far, and everybody's hoping for it to warm up a little bit so they hang around a while.
Yeah,
right?
here, yeah, because it hasn't been cold enough that they've moved up north much, right? So everybody says the northerns are through here already. I said, no, they haven't. They barely started.
No, yeah.
No,
Yeah, barely started.
You've got lots of them coming yet. Like, it's funny because we were trapping rats on the weekend, and some of the sets that we put out there, we have a carrot. I can't use an apple. An apple's the worst thing, but even a carrot, ducks and geese will peck at, right?
Oh, really?
So they don't ever get caught in the trap or anything, but they'll take all your bait.
It's like a bad fishing trip.
It's kind of funny. Yeah. I never knew that.
Cost some money.
It's like when you're trying to fish and they're in the way. It's like, I want to fish right there. Send the
Except you're
dog
sliding
in.
around in their poop on the banks. There's so much goose poop on the banks.
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk about your you're doing your upland and that, and you've always been like big game hunters.
I just got into big game probably just under 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
But I've always grown up chasing pheasants, and
Yeah.
that's the main thing I always grew up doing.
So pheasants, you're a southern boy.
I was born and raised in Calgary. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. He's got an
awesome.
accent too, doesn't he?
Don't get a Calgary accent.
Yeah.
Now
Cow down
Now you're
Calgary.
talking about pheasants. There's none of them up here. So
Yeah, yeah.
Kinda gives it away.
if you were raised up chasing pheasants, you from the south.
Yeah. I've heard it's even better the farther south you go.
Oh, I got friends in the Dakotas.
Oh,
Oh
nice.
yeah, North and South Dakota, and it is just crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
that'd be interesting to hunt down there, boy.
It's hard on a pickup truck driving across there at daylight, just at dusk and at dark, because that's when the pheasants are flying, and you lose the grill out of your truck every time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That'd
Wow,
be
so
nice
you're
to
hitting
see
them on the
that.
highway.
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Jeez.
That would be so weird
I
to
wish we
see.
had that problem here.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one to have, eh?
Well,
Yeah, you got to search for those buggers now.
we get too many cold winds in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pheasant, where they actually come from, they're a swamp bird
Yep.
in China, and they hear when the wind comes up, and they get up and fly in it, and they freeze to death. They
Yeah.
freeze their lungs.
They don't have that. They don't have the like grouse legs. Where they
Yeah,
got the
with
feather.
feathers, yeah.
Yeah. On the webbing. The webbing isn't as good on the pheasants, right?
So tell us then, how long ago did you two meet?
23 years ago.
23 years ago.
Yeah.
23. Wow.
Yeah. You moved in with me 23 years ago in September
In hunting
as a
season.
roommate.
In hunting season, it was about October in hunting season, wasn't it?
Yeah. End of September, and then my birthday, and
Yeah.
yeah. It's a
Wow.
long time ago.
Yeah.
We got along well. So
Well, that's good.
I set him up with all my friends first. I tried to get rid of him.
Girls like you are hard to find today. Let me tell you.
just let me have a little fun first. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
true.
she was born into the fur business. How did you get into it?
Just through them. I mean, probably about 15 years ago or so, I'd heard that your father needed some help, or I just started coming up because you were helping your dad, and
Yeah, he didn't have a fur finisher. He was short-staffed. So I came up to start helping him with that.
Explain fur finisher.
So any fragile fur that has a rip in it and needs hand sewing, so I do all the hand sewing. I close the coats, I open them, I fix the
Okay.
rips, the
Explain-
Keska hooks.
Explain close and open.
So I have to undo all the lining
Oh,
to get
okay.
at the skins where the rips are.
Yes.
So then I'll fix the rips and patch them if I need to.
Okay.
Do all that, and then close the coat, put the lining back together, close it all up so it looks brand new again.
It's a remarkable talent, and I wish I had your ability when I'm sewing up my fur. Somebody brings me a coyote that they've shot, and I'm trying to
yeah.
erase a 243 hole in it, big old tear in that. And I mean, a blind man can see it. When your coats are done, nobody can see that. That's remarkable the way you blend in a repair in that.
Thanks. It's a little bit of work. It takes a little while to figure out how to. If you sew fur right, you won't know that you touched it.
That's right.
Yeah. If you don't sew it right, you're going to see every imperfection that's there.
Okay, and so
Yeah.
you were doing that. You were doing the finishing.
Yeah, I was doing the finishing because he was short-staffed, and I was only working 4 days a week doing hair. I'm also the 4th generation hairstylist in my family, so
Oh, wow.
I did that for a lot of years. And then when he was short-staffed, I started driving up here, and we had a foster kid at the time, and so Lyle was staying back, and then started bringing Lyle and the foster son up, started more and more coming up here, and my dad said he was going to sell the business. And I said, well, could I buy it?
But Joanna retired way before
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah. And then Joanna, the furrier, after 25 years here, retired.
With very short notice.
With a couple of weeks' notice, said, hey, like, we have an opportunity. Would you mind? And being the person that she was, and she was a really good member of our family, because that's what it becomes after a while. She taught Lyle for a couple of weeks before she left.
She was trained leather in England.
Yeah, she learned leather in England and then came here, and she learned how to become a furrier from Ted Sisson, the original owner. And then worked for my dad for a number of years and trained Lyle. And then we sent Lyle to Montreal a couple times for some more training.
So I've got very, very, very deep roots in training through this business. I've got very, very old techniques.
Yeah, we do a lot of old school stuff here.
Okay, now explain to me though. So then it's not so much a trade as a guild. You're learning from other masters. Is that?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a school you go to. You're learning from a master.
Well, I know that they do some fur design at McGill, I believe it is, in Montreal.
Okay.
That's kind of where the fur trade really blossomed. That's where most of our coats come from today and stuff like that. Is Montreal, and then from there, so they're all made in Canada. That's important to us. We want Canadian products in our store. 95% of what we carry is made in Canada.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, so you learn either you can go to Montreal for a little bit of training, but you mostly are going to learn from your old furriers that are around and
picking the brains of the
picking their
old
brains.
furriers. And
So when you talk about old school
yeah.
versus new school, what's the difference? What are we talking about? Like what would be a major?
Well, when it comes to fur cleaning, a lot of your newer places are using a machine that'll do your glazing for you. We don't. Hand glazing's an old, more labor-intensive type of glazing. At the end of cleaning your fur, you brush it all out, you use a stick, and you're using some steam, and you're standing all your fur back up on end. So it gives you a much better gloss than sticking it in a machine and it coming back out. It usually gets too much steam in the machine.
you need to
And
control.
that's hard on your coat. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep it the old way. We don't use a lot of machines.
All the furriers I've been taught by are, minimum of 60
Yeah.
something plus.
So you're the new kid on the block?
Yeah, I think. Out west here, anyways. I think there's a lot of new programs coming up where there are a lot of new designers using fur, and they're being supported by the Fur Council.
Yes.
Of Canada. So a lot of stuff that fizzled out is starting to sprout up in new different ways. Like they're having stuff like Remix. Canada Remix. So they have a bunch of designers, and they'll take old coats and redesign something funky and new and completely different, and then they have a competition on that. And,
Okay.
I'd love to do that kind of stuff, but of course we service too many coats here. So yeah.
So fur is making a good big comeback. I
Yeah.
mean, after the what was the 80s, the 90s?
The
was
80s,
the darkest?
late 80s, yeah.
Was the darkest period where everybody got crazy, and Brigitte Bardot took her top off to protect the seals.
Yeah, and certain organizations paid people to do things that they wouldn't normally do so that it would be on the front page of papers, like kill a baby seal, which has never been legal.
No, it hasn't been legal. It hasn't been legal since the. It's really funny. We ended up doing a show on one of the episodes on Trapping Inc. We called it Pizza Money, and it was about ermine.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
the white.
Nice.
I have
white,
one hanging up over
Right
there.
on there, yeah.
Yes, the little white weasel. Because we were getting a lot of feedback on YouTube, and people saying, because they're little white, they're saying, aren't the babies? Isn't it illegal not to kill the white babies?
Yeah,
And I looked at it, and then Sandy says, well, they think that they're baby Marten. And you're right.
Oh.
You're right. That's exactly what they think. So we did this show and we called it Pizza Money because at that time it took like three weasels to buy a pizza kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So we did this show and explained that these were adults, and this is just one of the unique things about the ermine is that the adults turn white in the wintertime.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have a family that was around here in the winter, and I got a picture of him sitting on the step, and he was brown with the white this time.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just a neat thing, but to show, but everybody knows that that those seals, the baby seals, they're white, and that it's not legal to kill them.
Oh,
but
that's a funny story. If you have ever heard of Bob Watson, what's his name?
I don't know his name. I'm not good at that.
Watson. He's part of one of the Sea Shepherd things, and people that are campaigning to stop the seal hunts and stuff will.
Paul Watson.
Yeah, Paul
That's
Watson.
it. Yeah.
He will publicly admit that they use seals instead of the whales or the rainforest or anything else because seals, everybody sees them crying because they have that layer of salinity in their eyes so that they don't freeze shut when they're little pups.
Yeah.
So people think that they're crying. So
Yeah.
it's easy to make people cry for the crying seals. So
Yeah.
they pick on the seal industry because they can make the most money in their pockets.
Oh, I know.
Because this money, these people don't realize when they're supporting these organizations, this money is all going right into these people's pockets. They say they're not getting paid, but they've got nice boats and stuff, right?
Where do they get the boats
They've
from?
got fast boats to cruise around into international waters and get, run away from the law, right? So yeah, there's a lot of bad propaganda and stuff out there that people we need to educate people more.
Oh, absolutely. And the worst part about it is that they have motivated a bunch of people. I like to call them slacktivists.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good name.
Because they're activists, but they don't actually ever do anything. They just get on the internet and they pound away at stuff and they stir a ruckus and they threaten to never buy another cup of coffee from McDonald's, even though they don't drink coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They get their way through throwing these tantrums, while all the while being uneducated.
Yeah.
I mean, seal fur is an absolutely phenomenal fur. I see you got a pair of seal
I
boots
love it.
on.
Yeah,
there.
we sell them.
Yeah.
I got a seal coat. I wear it nonstop.
Yeah. That's something I'm going to get.
It's warm.
Yeah.
It's natural.
I just can't believe how nice it is. I always thought it was a lot more bristly.
Some of them are. There's different types. Of course, we can't have the Alaskan seal, which is the nice and soft ones. But actually, I actually like the South African fur seal. It's very, very soft.
South Africa?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah. I could show you.
We have in Canada the two major are the ring and the harp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are several other species that are not talked about as much, like the elephant seal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some of these other types of seals are their pelts are harvestable and usable as well.
Yeah. Well, I was up in right up on the Arctic Ocean, and the fellow that I was up there trapping with, he had shot an ugaruk. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. A bearded seal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It weighed like 600 and something pounds.
Wow.
It was just monstrous.
Yeah, imagine the meat they get from that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the blubber that that
They live on that all year, though, for those people.
And that's the biggest crime of all of this with what they did with the protest about the seal harvest was the fact that it destroyed the Inuits' industry.
Their way of life.
They were harvesting those animals for food and then being able to sell the hides. Well, when they absolutely shut down all import of it into the European Union and all that, that hurt them the most.
Yeah, I mean, I heard.
And they're the people that need it the most.
I was reading the healthy population out on the East Coast is supposed to be somewhere around 6 million, and the population as of 5-10 years ago was over 15 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to bring back cod industries, like we better start.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some, that's the thing about trappers and people that are in the fur trade is we're all the biggest conservators and environmentalists that there are out there because we're trapping and hunting what's in surplus. Like say last year, ducks weren't in surplus, so I hunted a lot of geese.
Yeah.
Right. So if the ducks are low, we hunt geese. If the same in trapping. If the seal populations were low, they would, shut it down for a while.
Well, everybody likes to argue though that man upset the balance. Well, man has been part of the balance for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
We're an animal in that.
We're an animal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They show you that in school in like grade 3, the pyramid.
We're kind of around the top of it.
You could tell us guys, by grade 3, we're still not paying attention.
Yeah,
I think it's grade 3.
all
I
I
don't know,
could think
but that
about in school
chain
was
of-
hunting.
See, I didn't start hunting until after I met him. I never hunted before.
Well, really? You'd be
No.
like Sandy. She discovered that I was a hunter and fisherman 2 days after we got married, and
Whoops.
And then you're just
you
handed
had
over the
that
gun
before you got
cabinet
married.
keys, right?
no. Then she decided, well, she better get with this, or she wasn't going to get to know me. So
Yeah.
that's how she got involved. But yeah,
I used to get a kick out of watching some of your early. It was outdoor.
Yes.
Yeah, some of the early stuff when you guys were first getting into it, and it was neat watching you guys grow as a couple. Like, and I've been, geez, that must have been 20 years ago. You guys started that.
Yeah,
stuff.
we did. It was
And-
20
and
years ago.
so
Jeez, you just want to like shut him up now, right?
yeah, I was
don't
pretty. I was pretty young watching that stuff.
well,
Yeah.
I can maybe claim to be a good influence then.
Yeah. You're a nice Canadian couple out there, just keeping it in, showing the way it is without, you had some baubles and, maybe if didn't act the right way, if you guys just didn't bother.
You were
just
yourselves, that's the best
yourselves,
part,
and
yeah.
you didn't have to run it by the script, and
Yeah.
that was kind of. You don't see a lot of shows like that. A lot of shows are all just scripted, and
Yeah, no, there's no script because the most dangerous thing is that nobody ever knows what's ever going to fall out of my mouth when I open it. So
yeah,
Awesome.
exactly.
That's why we
yeah.
watch your show.
Yeah.
with me being the reason I was saying that I might have been a good influence is because my mom said I would never be a good influence on anybody. So I was kind of proud of that moment.
Well, he got me into watching your show, but he also got me into hunting. I like to shoot guns. I was an Army cadet, so I like to shoot.
Oh, good.
But I didn't know if I could shoot an animal. And then once I did, my first time out, I got, 6 decoys? 6 decoys, 8 ducks and a goose.
There you
so
go.
I did good. But, the 6 decoys were a little bit.
My friends,
Not there.
my friends that, my friends. I said, "Oh, can I bring my wife out?" And they're like, "Well, we don't hunt with women."
Oh, really?
And I said, "Well, my wife is kind of like a tomboy, so they said, okay, bring her out." Right? So I brought her out. And she's out there getting dirty with us and shooting ducks and having a good time. And then they named her the quack addict.
Oh,
So-
okay.
She's the quack addict. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they call me, a little quack addict.
Good. So where is fur going today? What is the number one product? Are we getting back into traditional coats? I see looking around here. I see a lot of shearing, a lot of colors, a lot of.
Finally.
I see a lot of accessories too.
Lots of accessories.
Yeah.
That's your big thing. Your accessories, your brighter colors. The younger generations are coming to fur because it's biodegradable, it's environmentally friendly, it's renewable. They understand the whole farming thing. It's kind of fun watching a 20-year-old come in the store, talking to their 40-something-year-old mom, which is my generation, and going, "No, Mom, you're wrong. This is good." Like, and the mom will say, "Well, it's farmed and that's horrible." And they'll say, "Well, if you actually looked on Google, you'd find out that it's not that bad." Or
Yeah.
we've had vegans come in here and ask me how I can work in a place like this. And by the time they leave, they're kind of, "Thank you." Like, I appreciate that. And there's great websites out there for finding out the truth about fur.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really what it is the younger generations are understanding the truth about fur. So they want to see the color. They want to see the accessories. They like funky. You still need your classic ones because your older people want the classic thing, but
Yes.
lots of accessories, hats, mitts.
I mean-
Lyle makes these gauntlet mitts, and we can't keep up with that.
Yeah.
They've got sheared beaver inside. They're pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is there is so much fur out there that people don't even realize it's in front of them. It's changed so much, the colors, the lightness, and I mean, furs. It's all over the place.
So much trim. People with fur. We do a lot of taking the faux fur out and making a new color for people.
Yeah.
On their coats and jackets, and
Completely changing
putting
the look of
cuffs,
something.
making cuffs, doing all that kind of stuff just for accessories.
Yes. Yes. And so here, you obviously you do a lot of cleaning, a lot of service work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You store in. You have a vault that you
We
store
have
in?
a fur vault that we store stuff in. We do our own cleaning. We do our own repairs. We're one of the few that has their fur vault on site. A lot of people now, it'll be a couple furriers that have gone together on a vault, and they have to drive across town because that's where it is, in an industrial area somewhere, and then they get their vault, so their customers need to give them a couple days notice, where ours is right here.
So we've got like Sandy has a couple of fur coats, and the one is an antique handed down to her from her aunt, and it's mink and fox ranched, I believe. But what is the proper care and consideration for a coat like that?
Do you want to answer that?
Biggest thing is to keep it in storage.
In the summertime.
In the summertime, in the summer months when it's too warm for the skins.
And when you say storage, you are talking about
Like fur
vault.
storage in something like our vault, which is, she knows the numbers a lot.
It's kept between 3 and 7 degrees Celsius. It's 56 to 66% humidity, and it's dark. So it's cold, it's damp. We can last about 20 minutes in the vault when we're working in there before we got to come out. Like, I'm the only person in the middle of July that'll come running up from downstairs, turn the kettle on to make a hot chocolate. Because I'm freezing, even though I have my fur coat on when I'm in there. But it comes up through your feet, and it's just cold.
Okay.
After half an hour, you're holding a pen like this because you can no longer hold it. Your hand is too cold. But it's the humidity and the cold temperature mix that keeps the optimum prime, what you want to use to keep your skins the best. Like my mom's coat's 40 years old. You'd never know it.
Okay. So that's number one
Yeah.
Yeah.
care and consideration
Then bring it in for cleaning and glazing every second year is what we recommend.
every second year. Now, cleaning, how do you clean them?
It's a 4-stage process. It goes in one drum. You use crushed shells, and you use a fur cleaner and a fur glaze. You mix that together. You can only put, depending on the size of your drums, depends how many coats you can put in. We can put in 3 jackets in one of our drums or 2 coats because of the weight.
Right.
So they go in, they tumble for a while, then they switch to another drum where everything gets shaken out of them because the drum's got like a screen where everything
Yes.
can come back out. Then it goes into another 3rd drum where all 6 of those items will go if you're doing jackets because we have 2 drums back there. So we can join them together in the big drum where air flows through it, and it goes through there for quite a while. And when it comes out of there, it's best way to describe it would be like a wet dog, but it's dry. Yeah. So the fur is kind of all over the place and messy. Then from there, it'll go downstairs where it'll get brushed out and
That's my job
glazed with the
next
steam.
there.
And that's his job because it's labor intensive, and I'm not doing it.
It takes a special
It's-
touch
it's-
too.
yeah,
It's definitely a learned process. It
You
has
use a brush and you use a stick. And my dad will even say it, and I'll say it as a girl. Our wrists don't bend the same way as a guy. So at the end, you have this little flick, and if you don't flick it right, you get a line right across the fur.
Yeah.
And most girls will have that line. Guys won't.
Really?
It's all in how you flick that wrist at the end. It's labor. I've done it. I've had to do it.
That's
And
fascinating.
When he started doing fur, he became the glazer.
So now the glaze is already in at that point? Or do you add
Yeah,
more?
the glaze gets put in when you're cleaning it.
In
You
the
clean,
cleaning,
yeah,
okay.
you use a clean and glaze solution, but then you use the steam to activate it when you're downstairs.
Oh,
So I'll
okay.
brush it, then I'll steam it, then I'm going to stand the hairs up the wrong way
Right.
against the grain, and then I lay them flat again. And then that is as close to coming off the animal as you're going to see the fur in its in its prime state.
That's fascinating.
After I've glazed it.
Because I know with taxidermists, when they do a mount and that, they actually blow it out. They don't. They don't. None of them would know.
We do blow it
we
after
actually
the
have
big
this,
drum.
Oh, okay.
It gets blown out. We blow all the pockets and
Yeah, we make sure that there's no crushed shells left in the coat anywhere.
Right.
So we use an air hose after the third drum. I kind of missed that step, I guess.
it's in there.
So you blow it out before it goes downstairs to get glazed, and that really makes the hair look messy. It's brutal.
Yeah. And then I get to make it look all pretty after.
Yeah.
So what kind of shells?
Just crushed shells. I have no idea. It comes in a big bag.
Walnut.
I believe that
I want mostly walnut, I believe. Yeah. Because
Okay.
that would give you more sheen. The walnut, the oil in the walnut, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it would help.
Fascinating, yeah.
It would help move the glaze throughout all the fur. Right?
Yeah, like you use crushed walnut shells for so many things, like cleaning brass, even when you're reloading.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's amazing. I wasn't aware that the cleaning was such a such a labor intensive
From
process.
start to finish, it takes about 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's in the 3 stages of the drums, and you got to blow it out. Then it goes downstairs, and you got to brush it. Then you use the stick all backwards, and then you put it all back nice and pretty.
But it looks kind of nice, like when you've put your muskrats in the sawdust. I've seen your show where you do it in the, and after it comes out, after you shake, like when you do that with the fur afterwards, that's kind of what the glazing looks like afterwards. Except it will have more of a, it'll bring out the natural oil color, whereas the sawdust is gonna dim it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking for it to be dry. So
Yes,
that
exactly.
When I put it on the board,
Yep.
that it still has loft. Because if it's wet, it's matted. It's like a gray piece of paper on a white piece of paper.
But yeah, that's an awesome trick you had there
That's
with
cool.
that. I like when you pull it out and you went like this and you're showing everybody the fur. It's just poof.
Yeah. Well, you'd appreciate that being a furrier,
Yeah.
right? So the cleaning and the repairs, big part of business.
Yeah.
You make a lot of custom accessories and gloves or gauntlets. Do you make coats as well?
You mostly do remodels.
Mostly remodels, yeah. I mean, I have the capability to make the new coats and work with the new skins, which is actually it's can be a little bit easier than doing the remodels, because with the remodels you're working with the skins that are already been put into a coat and already designed one way. Now I have to try and take those skins and put them in a different way and recreate everything and change colors or change the length. And where the new coats, it's kind of, I can slap that on there and cut here.
That's mostly what you do, but we also do stuff for trappers.
Okay.
Where they'll bring in a beaver skin, or they'll bring in the sheared beaver, or they'll bring in all their coyote skins or whatever, and then he can make a coat out of that for them.
And hats.
If people have their own skins, we can make it here.
Right.
But to do all the inventory in the store, it's not worth his time to do all of that. Like,
Yeah.
He's got way many other things to do, like glaze coats, because I don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, in reality, we deal with, pretty much a great big, huge aspect of a fur business. I mean, we've, like I say, we've got the cleaning and the storage and the repairs, and
We also do leather repairs as well.
we've pretty much got a store that's a bigger factory than even what you see in Montreal. I've got more machines and more capabilities, and I want to grow the business where we have to pack that basement out with furriers and finishers working hard like it used to be in here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
It's-
It's so what fur is hot right now?
All fur's hot, but
What's popular?
Mink is always going to be your popular fur because it's not too long, it's not too short. Now, that being said, it depends if you're talking to a male or a female.
Oh, okay.
Most women love the sheared fur because it doesn't make us look poofy. It's more slim fitting. It's
Guys
so
like
that's
guys
why mink
like
is
poofy
for,
women, though.
I know.
I mean, come on.
But men will come in and the first thing they'll do is go to the raccoon coat or the coyote coat or the fox coat. And they'll be, I want to buy this for my wife.
That's the traditional fur coat you bought your wife. The
Yeah.
poofy, make everybody know that your wife has fur and you spent a lot of money on it. Whereas now we can be subtle if we want.
Yeah. And that's why so many people don't realize there's fur out there, because so much of it is sheared that they think it's just the trim.
Wow.
And the rest of the coat is fur, but it's sheared. But the sheared fur is also lighter to wear. It tends to move with you more, so it makes you feel good. So, you know, a lot of women will come in at storage time. They'll be like, I don't know why my husband bought me this fluffy coat. You know, and then you'll watch it, and within a couple of years, the husband's back in, and he goes, well, the wife said she saw a coat and that you'd know what it is, and it'll be something sheared, for sure.
Well, I tell you what, shearing and dyeing has reborn the beaver industry.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, for
So
one
soft.
thing, beaver fur is heavy.
Yes.
those skins are heavy. You make a jacket or whatever with it, and but you know it's so heavy that you're warm just packing it around. The shearing, like you guys are doing a blanket for us right now. We took and kept a bunch of our best winter skins and that, and we had them tanned, plucked, and sheared. And then we brought them to you to make a blanket for our king-size bed. We're excited about it, but that is just, if you can imagine, like half-inch thick crushed velvet. All I need is Elvis painted on it, man, and nobody would know the difference, right?
It is soft. It is.
It
Yeah.
is
Well,
unbelievable.
Yes.
They originally started shearing the beaver to try to imitate the Alaskan fur seal, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
That's how it started. That's how shearing all started, was when the seal industry was being stopped. The Alaskan seal, and there is one or two in the vault, and you can close your eyes and run your hand over it, and you won't even know you touched it. It's that soft. So they started shearing beaver to imitate that, and then they started shearing other furs to try and imitate, to find out what was going to be the best, closest to the Alaskan seal.
Oh, really? I wasn't aware of the Alaskan. I know the sea otter has the densest fur in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like chinchilla has like 600 hairs come out of every follicle, right? And the sea otter is like 21 or 2,300 out of every follicle. It is so dense that they never actually get wet, even though they spend their life in the water. They never actually get wet. The water doesn't penetrate.
That's when we don't see it sheared very often, because it's just not sheared very often. But it's a really, like you say, it's dense, it's heavy, and I wear one, and I love it.
No, this is the sea otter.
But
the sea otter,
you wear
yeah.
the otter.
River
Normal
otters.
Yeah.
River otters a pale comparison.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And you won't see much sea otter because I believe only the natives can now.
I think you're right.
Yeah, can trap them and that they've made a huge comeback. I mean, one time they were hunted right to the end of their existence, but they can run 60, 70 pounds, like twice the size of a river otter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very, very soft. So the shearing and the color. I mean, I also love how you know you're doing a lot more patterns now. You know, you look at the stuff, a lot more of play on the contrast in colors, the contrast in grains, and that kind of thing, right?
For sure, it's way more fun now. I remember as a kid walking in the store, and there'd be like 20 of the same coat. The only thing different was the trim.
Right.
You know, it would have a different collar or a different colored collar. And it was always brown, black, light brown, or pale brown. There was never, you know, pink or blue or burgundy or green. And it's awesome that there's colors now. It's just, I think that's what makes fur coming back.
Yeah.
Is part of it, is that there's color behind it now. It's not just brown or black.
And is it perhaps because a lot of people don't even know what it is that they're?
Yeah.
Do you think there's that?
That's part of it.
that-
Yeah.
So is it that the person wearing it doesn't know, or is it that nobody else knows, but the person wearing it knows what it is?
Not all the
not
time.
all the time,
For
no.
instance, in Montreal, I stopped a girl because she had a gorgeous, gorgeous fin raccoon collar. Like, you know, like this thing was fluffy. fluffy.
Kind of like that one over there.
And I stopped her and I said, "That's a gorgeous. I'm glad that you're wearing fur, and it's gorgeous to see." And she was almost horribly offended.
Yeah. I'm not
because
wearing fur.
No, she did, no, it's not real.
Oh,
It's not
really?
real fur. So
Yeah, it is.
we've had people come in the store saying, "I don't like fur," but we look at the fox trim on their, the purple fox trim on their coat is sure real, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
people,
That's probably though, like, I mean, because people think of it only in the natural, right? Mm-hmm. They don't think of it in the color, and the colors. And what's involved in doing that? Like, I mean, it is remarkable because I'm looking at a pink jacket over there, and
Yeah.
and I mean, literally, it is light pink, and it is absolutely uniform. Like, how do they get those?
So just kind of like doing your hair, right? When a
Oh,
woman
yeah,
goes and
I
gets,
know about
not
that.
yours, but when a woman goes, and that's partially why I could work in this industry. I do hair, right? But when they go in, it's going to get bleached out, and that you need to make sure when you're bleaching something out that it is uniform. And as long as you have that uniform bleach out job, then when you add a color to it, it's going to be the same and it'll be uniform. Some things they don't bleach out, like sometimes they'll take a demi buff mink and they'll dye it blue, and you get almost like a denim color out of it. Like it's really nice, but it also picks up all the other different colors because you haven't bleached all of that out.
Right.
Like the fuchsia pink bunny that's over there, it's made of rabbit and it's been bleached out, and then the fuchsia's been added, and then it's been all sewn together, and that's kind of and rinsed. So it's a process for sure.
I was told that one of the reasons there was two reasons why Marten or sable was so popular for fur coats, and that was one that it takes dye really, really well.
It does.
So it's very easy because it's not really, even though it's classified as a long hair, it's not really a long hair, and it has very light leather, so it makes a very lightweight coat.
It does. Yeah. It's also a very expensive coat.
Yeah.
we have the pine marten and the rock marten.
Yeah.
Stone marten, sorry, are two
Yeah.
different martens that
Yeah.
we have.
That they call sable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's usually the stone is the sable, and the pines actually end up mostly in high-end paintbrushes, which we don't see a lot. You don't see a lot of pine marten coats. You'll see marten, but it'll usually be a stone marten, which is our version of Russian sable. So it's Canadian sable.
Oh, okay. When our Marten go to auction, that's what I know that the tails. That's what the tails are used for. Is for artist brushes,
Yeah.
brushes. Same thing with Fisher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's when they put them up, they call them all sable at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they're all sold as sable. Mm-hmm. The coyote craze, has that hit here? Has that hit for you guys? Is there much demand? I know that coyote is, and they use just a strip of it on the Canada Goose jacket, is it?
Yeah.
They use just a strip of.
They use a lot of pieces that they've sewn together too. We've taken a lot of them apart and put nice full coyote trim on.
Yeah.
We've done that on quite a few different jackets.
Yeah, they put quite the demand on the coyote industry in
It's hard
Canada,
when somebody
so-
wants a coyote coat if they don't have their own skins. I mean, we're scrambling trying to find the skins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of work to find some skins because it's that one company is buying so many of them that it's hard to get the skins. Like we have one coyote coat in the store.
As a trapper, I'm happy that they're buying.
Well, absolutely. No, it's a good thing. It's great because one, it gets fur out there that much more. But it is harder to get a coyote coat, like of new skins. Do a lot of remodels on them.
Right.
Change dad's coat into one for son, or make it shorter. Add some length to the sleeves because I'm taller than dad, or
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. We do a lot of touching up of coyote coats.
So that brings up a pretty interesting question. Then how do you, if you somebody wants fur? How do you acquire that? Do you have somebody buy at the auction for you, or do you go to a tannery or?
Well, there's a fur guy around here that I'll call because I know he gets them dressed. And there's a huge difference. If you're going to use something in our industry, you want it to be dressed.
Yes.
You don't want it to be tanned.
Oh, tell me the difference then. I wasn't aware here.
Dressed is usually sent off to Winnipeg or Montreal. And they do, and I don't know the exact process, but it comes out a lot softer, a lot more supple. When it gets wet, garment tan, garment quality, that's what they call, in our industry, we call that fur dressing.
Oh, okay.
So for the garment tan. But for the other tan, when the snow hits it, if you just get it tanned, a lot of times when the snow hits it, there's a very foul smell that comes from that fur.
Oh.
And so people don't like that.
No.
A woman doesn't want to smell funny when she's walking down the street. A lot of times it's a very urine-y smell, so it's not very nice.
As somebody who's skinned a lot of coyotes, the last thing you want to do is smell like a wet coyote, let me tell you.
Right, yeah. So you do want to get it done for garment quality. That's important.
I know I've had sent all my stuff for years to International in Winnipeg there.
And that's that's where we tell everybody to send their stuff to.
Yeah, they do an awesome job.
And they've been around a long time. They're a great Canadian company too.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
No question.
And it's less distance for your shipping and everything else. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know one thing that has changed though is like the cost of because of labor, it's so labor intensive. The cost of tanning has gone up a long way.
Oh yeah, it has.
Yeah, because you can be into into a beaver skin for $100 in a hurry.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's why by the time I see the price, because we are part of the Alberta Trappers Association as well. We see the price that the trappers are getting for it, and then we're also part of NAFA, so we see the price that we have to pay for it. If I can't get it from a trapper or somebody down at this level, then I start calling manufacturers for fur. And of course, they've paid out their money. They want their profit. So now I have to pay for their profit. So then when I get that skin, now I need to make some money on that skin. So from a trapper's point, we always get asked, how come a coat costs so much? Well, you sell it, then it gets dressed, then it gets bought. So all these different people are buying it along the way. Everybody wants their profit. And by the time, like for a mink skin, a mink is only this long, but we can have it 6 feet long because they do what's called letting it out. And he can explain that process a lot better than I can. That's more of a furrier thing, how they let out fur. And they make a 4-foot skin turn into 6 feet or 7 feet skin if that's what they need to do.
We're taking width and we're dropping it into length.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that malleable.
Yes, if the skins are moved around and cut properly. I'm also called a cutter. A furrier is also called a cutter because we have to know how to cut the fur properly. If you don't cut the fur properly, your lines will they'll show when you sew. Because if you don't cut properly, you might cut some of the hairs, and that can leave a mark in the fur. It takes a trained eye to know if it's been cut properly or even sewn properly.
Absolutely. That's fascinating. I have to come spend some time with you when you're sewing in that. Just because I'm a builder by trade, so I mean anything that mechanical. I love to learn about, right?
Yep, that's why I fit in here too, because I've always been in the construction industry and been kind of a jack of all trades, and I like mechanical machines and trying to fix things or fix problems on machines, and it's like, okay, just a little oil there and it fixes the problem sometimes, right? A little oil is good long ways.
See, as a finisher, I have everything. Like, he can build the coat, but somebody has to do the lining, put it back in, put the shoulder pads in, put everything else in, and that's what I do on my end. But he does these crazy things where the fur is fur side down. Like when he makes a bear, it's all fur side down, and he's patterning out all this stuff and putting the fur out. And then it comes out, and you don't know where he sewed. And for me, it's like, how do you do that backwards? Like the fur is always down.
Yeah.
And my dad, same thing. And him, they're both, well, it's easy. It's like, No.
have
My
to
brain
imagine
just
it.
doesn't think that.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, I don't know how they get both halves the same. I don't know how they do that kind of stuff. It's crazy because the fur is down. They're just looking at the skin when they're making stuff.
But he
and
can
it's like,
he can see the reverse image in his
Yeah.
head. So yeah,
it's
Have to
crazy.
read the back of the
Yeah.
skin.
it's a nice talent to have. So, where is the fur industry going? Are we making a comeback? Are there going to be more furriers or?
I'm thinking we are. I mean, you look on the internet, you look on Instagram and stuff, you see a lot of younger people over in Europe too becoming furriers. You're friends with somebody in England that's a furrier.
Oh, yeah, over in England.
Yeah, that you chat with. And
There's a lot of education going on, especially over in Europe. The access for the furriers. I mean, the furriers, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of furriers over in Europe. In Canada, there are a lot few and far between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in Alberta, there's probably, maybe 3 people that can do some of the stuff I do.
Are there 3 furriers in Alberta?
Maybe if we're lucky.
a couple of
3,
them are
maybe 4.
retired. I know another one's retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not too many left in
There's
Alberta.
not.
I know there's nobody in Saskatchewan.
No, there's nobody in Saskatchewan. We do a lot of Saskatchewan repairs.
Yeah.
A lot.
I was shocked when I learned that because I mean, we were raised with fur. We were raised in the life. I was 18 before I ever ate farm raised beef. You know what I mean? And it was so I thought everybody did this stuff. When I started learning that they didn't, it was shocking. And then I don't know. It's got to be 4 or 5 years ago now. I discovered there wasn't even a single furrier in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's actually really sad.
It is sad because that's where my dad started back in the 60s, 50s, somewhere in there, early 60s. He started in Saskatoon at Sisson Furs and went to another place, and he ended up in Edmonton. Then he ended up with the Bay, and then he ended up in Calgary. And he was here. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But from Calgary, he was the regional manager for Western Canada for the Hudson Bay company until they finished furs, and then he came here.
That's cool.
It's a long time, but I was really surprised that there's nothing left in Saskatchewan because it's so cold.
That's okay. I mean, we service them.
Oh yeah, we do. We do a lot of work for Saskatchewan.
It's
Absolutely.
funny because the weather is what drives fur sales in Asia.
Yeah.
In Russia, it's the cold, and I don't know. Does the cold drive it here in Alberta, or we just used to living with it? And
We definitely notice a difference when there's a cold winter versus a warm winter in sales.
really?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely. When we have a good cold winter, we have a great year.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
this year's off
here's
to
open.
This year's off to a flying start, huh?
For sure. And I mean, I've always loved winter. Like, fall and winter are my favorite.
We just set a record, for snowfall for September.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Isn't that wonderful?
Normally we're wanting the snow for hunting so we can hunt the big game, right? See the big game moving, but it's coming early this year, so.
Sad for the trick or treaters, but I like it.
Oh,
It
come on.
smells so nice and it's crisp and I don't know, I like winter.
Has there ever been a Halloween where the kid didn't have a snowsuit over top of his Halloween costume? I mean, come on.
Not a lot, but
I know that's the way it's always been for our kids. So, our grandkids now too.
that makes it more fun though. Trying to move in that costume and look cool, but you can't really move because your mom's got like 10 layers of clothes on underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah,
part of
boy,
the challenge.
I used to hate winter because I was a cold person all the time, and
That's true. I forgot about
my life's almost done a complete 180. I love winter and almost don't like the heat in the summer now because just how my body reacts to the fur, and controlling my temperature with fur all the time is. Plus, I'm also a chronic pain sufferer, so I find that keeping the body warm, the fur keeps your core warmer longer than if you don't wear the fur. and I find that helps with my pain and keeps me happier. That's
I
crazy.
know it's an absolutely amazing product. You will never ever. I don't care what anybody wants to say. There is nothing made or invented to this day that competes with fur, for the heat units or for the weight incomparable. There's just nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, there isn't. I mean, leather blocks your wind,
Yeah.
but after -20, leather, I don't care how much you got on, it's cold.
Yeah.
You know, fur blocks the wind and keeps you warm, and you're not shivering. And I forgot how much you didn't like winter when I met you, and how much you used to tell me, "How can you like winter? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, winter's cold." And then my dad gave him a coyote coat, and he went outside, and he came back in, and it was -30. And he was walking the dog, and that's why my dad gave you the coyote coat, because he's freezing. And my dad's like, "Why don't you go downstairs and could you bring me up those coyote coats down there for me?" And there were some old coats that had been around, and tried them on Lyle, and one fit Lyle, and Lyle's like, Dad, and my dad said, "What do you think of that?" And he says, "Oh, it fits, feels good." And he goes, "Good, you can have that one." He goes, "But go outside for a minute." And he had just come in from walking the dog, so he was kind of cold. And he went outside, and he comes back in, and he's like, "It feels balmy out there." And I'll never forget that part. But yeah, I totally forgot you didn't like winter.
Well, it's weird because I almost dress like summer most of the time in the winter, and just I'll have maybe one shirt, not usually a sweater, and then just a fur coat.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I really like the way it regulates your body temperature.
Yeah. People that talk about layering don't have fur.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Yeah, you don't have to layer with fur. There's 2 layers.
there's your skin and there's the fur.
Yeah.
People who are looking for fur or have fur, what is the each give me your number one piece of advice. If they're considering buying, what would be a good piece of advice, or for maintaining?
Well, if you're considering buying, make sure you have somebody help you with your fit, because fur has absolutely zero give. There's no stretch, there's no nothing. Please don't think about a number, because we use a dressmaker size. We don't use designer sizes, so there's no such thing as size 2. There's no, like it's a real woman's size. You get your size 10, your size 12, and all the way up to 20, whatever. But we're using a tape measure for your sizes, so don't look at the number of the size, and make sure that somebody is there to make sure that your fit is correct, so that you're not ripping it, so that you get to enjoy it. And then from there, you want to make sure that you store it in the summertime. Like, there's a little bit of maintenance, just like your car.
Okay.
Your car needs an oil change. Your fur needs to go into storage in the summertime. Needs to get clean. The Fur Council tells you every year. My dad says every 2 years is fine. He's been in this long enough. I trust him. My mom's coat's over 40 years old. You'd never know it.
Okay.
I'm going to wear it. It's going to be warm.
I will remodel it.
Yeah, he will remodel it, because unfortunately I lost my mom a couple years ago. But yeah, we're gonna make that a more youthful coat. Hey,
Yeah, we'll have fun with that. There's something we forgot to mention too. Was we were talking about earlier about true facts about fur and stuff. I think we should mention maybe truthaboutfur.com is a really good place to get
Educated, yeah.
questions and answers about how the industry really is.
Yes.
They can answer every aspect from the trappers all the way up to the retailers and the furriers like us, everything in between.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, it's all about education. It's amazing, because when we started this show, when we started Trapping Inc., everybody said, "There's not enough trappers to make it viable." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." But I wanted to try, because I know that we were getting a bunch of feedback. Some of the projects that we were doing on YouTube, we were getting a ton of feedback on, and it was trapping that we were doing. And so I wanted to do it. Well, now we've discovered that 80% of our fans aren't trappers.
Yeah.
They're people that they're not even all outdoors people. They're just people who are interested in it,
Yeah.
right? So it's fascinating that way. So it's really cool, because lots of times when if you go to your local fish and game association and you talk about the antis or whatever, you're preaching to the choir, right? You haven't got out and say, well, when 80% of my people aren't trappers,
Yeah.
I'm not preaching to the choir. I'm out in Main Street preaching. I'm outside of the church. So I find that fascinating, and we have a gigantic audience, and it's just because that it's fascinating. People want to know more about the life, want to know more about how it's done, and to debunk all of the things that PETA has used against us for years, and that gives me indeed a lot of pleasure.
Well,
Yes.
and you and Sandy do a great job of being just everyday people out there. And people don't see that on TV. You know, there's all these reality shows, but there's still a lot of script to that reality show.
Yeah,
You got to follow that. You guys are just yourselves. You're how you are. Like,
Yep.
and that's what makes your show so good.
And trappers are trappers. They're
They're a different
you,
breed.
you can't change them, and they're really good, wholesome people. They're
Yeah.
like
Yep.
they're like a great farmer. They're country people, and that's hard to beat.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I want to thank you folks for taking time on a busy evening, and you stayed late just to be able to talk to me and all of our fans. It has been a pleasure. I love your store. I've spent some money here. I know I've been told I got to spend some more. So
I can help you. Oh, look I still have my symbol on it. I can help you spend money for sure, anytime.
You can do that. Yeah. It's a dangerous store.
very dangerous.
But it's fun.
Yep.
And there's something for everyone. We try to do that too.
You
We
better
try to
believe
make sure, like, you know, whether it's a little barrette for the little 3-year-old girl or the coat for the lady, there's always something in between. Some gloves, some bunnies,
Baby booties.
baby booties. Yeah, those are
Fur-
awesome.
fur
I
baby
love baby
booties.
booties.
for the baby that has everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, some sheepskin booties. They're so cute.
Well, thank you. And thank you for joining, and maybe we'll see you down the line.
Yeah. Thank you guys, and thank you for everything you do for the fur industry and the trapping industry.
Absolutely.